There was a time when the name Robert McBride was associated with his one brave act of parking a car full of explosives outside a bar in Durban and killing teenagers. That was his great act of defiance, and the thing that made him a figure of either absolute hate in certain circles, and in some other circles, it made him a hero. He walked away, he watched those people die. And this was a brave act, apparently. Well, he reinvented himself after that incident because for many years he languished on death row. He reinvented himself as a policeman, which shows you that irony is alive and well and living in South Africa. But anyway, Robert McBride for a while has been this confusing figure of, is he a good guy or is he a bad guy? So yesterday, he made an appearance at the Parliamentary Ad Hoc Committee looking into the allegations of Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi. And quite clearly, many people who are in Parliament today don't remember that great sort of struggle legend of this heroic figure that parks a car outside a bar, doesn't stand and fight, but parks it and leaves it and watches people die. Well, apparently many in Parliament didn't get that memo, and Robert McBride arrived in Parliament to a very hostile response. Apparently, according to many of the parliamentary committee meeting, he wasn't treating them with enough respect. You've got to love that. People in our Parliament are complaining that somebody else is not treating them with respect. These are parliamentarians that, just look around you, are responsible for the conditions in the country. And they're complaining that this guy isn't deferential enough to him, and that there was his attitude was too relaxed and he wasn't treating it seriously enough. So I must admit, I struggled to get past that bit because, there were pots and kettles calling each other black. It was ridiculous, childish, and a waste of our taxpayer money. But hey, once that settled down, we finally got some testimony from Robert McBride, and we went down the very, very same old, well-trodden path. Except this time it was the view from the other side of the path, where this, from the McBride view, Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi is a bad guy. He was the guy who was trying to protect the corrupt former acting police chief Kgomotso Patlani. And in actual fact, he was helped by his trusty Lieutenant Paul O'Sullivan, of whom McBride said he's eccentric and a little bit strange, but he does have good information. Now, I'm not 100% sure why a citizen should have better information than a whole police force, but hey, this is South Africa. And in the eyes of Robert McBride, the good guys were people, like Shadrach Sibiya Patlani, who was kicked out of his job for corruption. It's hard to tell who's good and who's bad in this story. McBride said that the person that appointed him, or in fact, the person who suspended McBride from his position as head of IPID, that's the body set up to investigate crooked policemen, was Jacob Zuma's former police minister, Nathi Nhleko, who is now a very senior minister of the Mkhonto we Sizwe party. So battle lines are drawn. It's hard to tell who the good guys and who the bad guys are. I watch this very closely, and I like to think of myself as well informed, and it's very hard to get the picture. However, I couldn't help watching these stories come out, which were covered in a book like this in 2017, updated in 2022 already, about how the police force was captured by the forces of Jacob Zuma. We know what happened. We also went through the Zondo Commission. A lot of bad stuff happened. We got rid of that, and we were hoping for a better South Africa. But apparently, we're still going to be talking about this for as long as we talk about, I don't know, apartheid or whatever else that gets your motor running, if we can look in the rearview mirror forever, then apparently we don't have to worry about the future. But I am more concerned about what's happening in the police force now. And this, I am not sure, as salacious as it was to listen to Robert McBride give the flip side of the story to what we've been hearing lately. I couldn't help but be overcome with a sense of, who cares? Really what I care about is Senzo Mchunu, the current minister of Netflix, a bad guy? Should he go to jail? Why did he close down the Political Killings Task Team? Does the Political Killings Task Team deserve to be? I couldn't give a damn about IPID and what happened in 2014, to be honest. We know what happened. It's covered in documents. We sat through years of the Zondo Commission and 5 great volumes. If nobody wants to do anything, if nobody wanted to do anything about it then, why should we care about it now? And I'm saying that, great, if the Parliamentary Ad Hoc Committee think that this is adding any value, go for it. I don't see how this makes any difference one way or another. I want to hear about the current mess. I want people who have committed crimes to go to jail. I'm not interested in the internal machinations of the police force, the internal machinations of the ANC, which is in decline, right? We need to move forward, and we are not doing anything because we keep on looking back to this era, which we know happened. We covered it in great detail in the Zondo Commission, but our judiciary decided to do nothing about it. Fine. That's that. Now we've got a country in decline. We want to go on a better path, but we are still discussing these issues. We're not even dealing with the current issues, while the country just generally drifts into extended lawlessness. It's crazy to me. And, there are commentators that find this to be the most interesting, exciting thing you've ever heard of. I'm saying, maybe as you get older, you sort of wonder, guys, surely the future matters a lot more than the past. We're not going to be on this ball forever. South Africa has to correct its course. But apparently Robert McBride, who has been suspended from his position twice and keeps on finding another position, is an important guy. Well, big deal. But as I understand it, it's not what these commissions were set up to do. They were to set up the problems in the police force now, understanding that those problems were different problems 12 years ago. Fine, I get that. Good for you. Big deal. Let's deal with the issues that we need to deal with now, because there's no ways that if this committee thinks that McBride's a bad guy, there's nobody with the balls to charge him with anything. If they decide Nathi Nhleko acted out of his mandate when he was a minister, nobody's going to do anything about him. Zuma's going to keep him in his party. I've never seen such a waste of our taxpayer resources as watching that. But maybe I'm wrong. Let me know what you think. But I personally find this part of the ad hoc committee to be completely ridiculous. And, we can have a History Channel to put that on. That's just my view. If anything exciting happens, I will let you know. But I must admit, to hear stories from the Zuma era, big deal. I mean, we all know what happened then. Nobody decided to do anything about it. So let's move on from that. And let's try and correct course for the future. And that's my opinion. I'll tell you what else is my opinion. What else is my opinion is that you should consider coming to our breakfasts, where we have got 2 breakfasts coming up, one in Pretoria, one in Sandton, that are going to be fantastic. On February the 4th, in Pretoria, Davy Root with Bonsai Shongwe promises to be brilliant. We have a look at South Africa in 2026. And, of course, our State of the Nation breakfast, where on the 13th of February in Sandton, the morning after the President engages us with his State of the Nation breakfast, where we are going to have analysis from Moletsi Mbeki and Mighty Jamie, not to be missed. More information in the comments below. Book your table, bring your colleagues. It's going to be great. You get to put your questions to our panel. let's move along. Right. President Ramaphosa yesterday, I'm sure he must have applied his mind for ages and he must have thought deeply about it. But he passed above inflation rate increases for senior public servants. We've spoken about this before, but it does make me so mad and gets me so incensed. Senior people in government, cabinet ministers, are getting a 3.8% increase. That includes people in provincial seats. That includes people in city seats getting a 3.8% increase, while public office bearers, that includes members of the judiciary, traditional leaders, members of commissions, we love commissions, they're going to get a 4.1% increase. This is your and my money. And imagine how nice it must be to say, should I give myself more of somebody else's money? Well, I think I'm worth it. I don't think it's that hard to do. The only problem is just a few months ago, the Minister of Finance agreed with the Reserve Bank and they've pegged the inflation rate at 3%. And yet they go and give above inflation rate increases. Now, this outrageous situation has not got one word of outrage from any of the 10 parties in the Government of National Unity. Not one of them has spoken out about it. Now, I don't want a flood of comments saying the DA, the DA, the DA, because they are 1 out of 10 parties in this Government of National Unity. Be as outraged by the DA silence as you are by the silence of the ANC, by the silence of the Patriotic Alliance, by the silence of the Freedom Front Plus. This is our money that they have decided to spend, okay, above what you and I can get out of an economy that has stalled. And this is outrageous and deserves to be the topic of discussion in the country. But yet, I failed to see any coverage in any of the mainstream media publications. Maybe I got it wrong. I heard it on a report added onto a business program somewhere on one of the radio stations. But I haven't heard any coverage of this, and it's outrageous. We are going to have a long look at local government issues. Let's talk about hijacked buildings, because Johannesburg is the poster child for hijacked buildings. But believe me, it's coming to a city near you, because our laws support the hijacking of buildings. Officially, Johannesburg has 188 hijacked buildings, although some numbers put it way higher than 200 and some as high as 300. Whatever it is, it's a ridiculous number. These are people who are stealing, but because of the thing they're stealing, we know exactly where they are, because they stole a building and they can't take the building with them. It's not like if they steal your car and they can take it to Botswana. No, the building's still there, so you know who stole it. And you know who is inside the building is living there illegally, because the person who got them to be inside there didn't have that right in the first place. Now, the city of Johannesburg, in its great efficiency for the last 10 years, has managed to get enforceable court orders on 7 of those 188 buildings, and only 1 building has seen an actual eviction and upgrading. Well done, city of Johannesburg. That is excellent work. One of the excuses that the city keeps on giving for not dealing with all 7 of their wonderful success stories in getting court orders is that they don't have ready alternative accommodation for the residents. Now, it is time that we deal with crazy legislation like this. Somebody can hijack the building, and when you get police to act and the judiciary to act and you get your building back, the onus is on you to go and find accommodation for the people who now occupy your building. That is the kind of crazy legislation that we have in this country. And once again, all 10 parties in the Government of National Unity are silent on this. It should be an issue. Because of the characteristics of South Africa, we can't have laws like this. I can understand this happening in first world countries. In actual fact, it still does. And I remember that this used to be the joke, that in a first world, you can go and squat, as they call it, in an abandoned building or a not occupied building, and then they would have to provide you with accommodation. And we all thought, how ridiculous. Well, it's here. And with the local government elections looming, surely this is low-hanging fruit for any of the 10 parties in the government of national unity. Any of them, please, just one of them, please. If somebody from one of those parties would like to comment on that, give me a call. You can come onto the Political Insider and tell us why you think this is such good legislation or why you're not fighting it tooth and nail. But as I said, with this kind of crazy law, it's coming to a city or a town near you, if it hasn't already. It's coming. Johannesburg is just in the news because our city is run so poorly. But believe me, it's coming to every city. It's already happened in Cape Town. It's going to happen more and more because the legislation is in favor of the lawbreaker. Talking about law breaking, we reported yesterday about this tragic accident when 12 children were murdered by a taxi driver, a reckless taxi driver, who decided it was a good idea to drive on the wrong side of the road and try and overtake 3 cars in a truck, and had head-on collision down in Vanderbijl Park in the Vaal area. Now, what has been put forward? Because now we've got a scramble from our authorities, and they say, we know the problem. The problem is that this chap didn't renew his professional driving permit at the end of last year. Now, this is crazy. For starters, it's just very convenient to blame one taxi driver, right? When we've got multiple taxi accidents every day. And to blame this on the correct or incorrect paperwork is crazy. Let's say the guy had a valid taxi permit. Does that make his accident okay? No. Does that make his behavior okay? Does that give him the right to drive on the wrong side of the road? No. It surely cannot be a documentation issue, right? We all go out and we have to get licenses. It doesn't make you, when you get your license renewed, let's just say you're one of the few people that follow the law, that doesn't make you a better driver. But we need incentives and we need punishment for people that drive poorly. We need to have people. Remember, there used to be a thing called traffic enforcement. You know, that was before Metro Cops started to do what we hear in the Matlanga Commission that Metro Cops are doing in Ekurhuleni, or what they do in Johannesburg, which is set up roadblocks in rich areas on the weekend so that they can extort money. We need Metro Police, traffic police, provincial police to actually get out there and not just do speed traps, not just do roadblocks, but to actually police the roads. That's what they are paid to do, right? We also need to address the state of our roads, because many accidents happen because we've got Kimberley-sized potholes on our roads. We've got traffic lights that don't work on major intersections. No traffic cops whenever that happens. So all I'm saying is, as tragic as this accident is, let's not make this about one driver and one driver's paperwork. It's a far bigger issue. We've got a country where the policemen refuse to police the country. You can break the law quite safe in the knowledge that if you've got 100 or a couple of 100 rand in your wallet, you can get away with it. That is not going to make you a better driver. That's just going to make you complicit in the crime. This wasn't a failure of one taxi driver who failed to get his permit on time. This is a guy driving badly, knowing that no traffic cop is going to pull him over and give him a fine or suspend him from driving or throw him in jail. Because it's just easier to get a streetwise 2 out of the driver who does a bad thing. Until we deal with those issues, let's stop talking about the paperwork. Let's start doing policing, the hard stuff. Thank you for joining us on the Political Insider. Remember, subscribe to the channel and come join us at our breakfast. Thank you for joining us today. State of the Nation fans, have we got great news for you? We are coming to you. State of the Nation will be kicking off 2026 with 2 great breakfasts. On the 4th of February, we will be going to Pretoria, where we will have the ever-popular Dawie Root and Bonsai Shongwe on our panel. And on the 13th of February, the day after President Ramaphosa delivers his State of the Nation, we'll be analyzing that talk with the legend that is Moletsi Mbeki and Mighty Jamie. If you want to join us at this event, please visit our website, sona.co.za, that's sona.co.za, and you can book your place, book a table, bring your whole company with. We'll see you there.